The Beyblade leak situation has gotten... No, listen, okay. We actually have now listings for 2026, some of which that kind of exposes some of their big plans for what they're going to be leading on to with Beyblade X. So if you are excited here and like Bays That Spin, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts, and make sure to check out Mall of Bays. We are Canadian-based and import from Japan. It is an optional way to support the channel, and I appreciate any and all support regardless. So to start us off with talking about the information, I want to give a shout out to Frosty for the thumbnail art. He is the GOAT. Please show him some support and commission him. And if you're wondering the origin on this news information, some store just, I guess, posted this randomly and then after deleted it. So I will say take it with a grain of salt for right at this moment until we see that more places confirm the same, like, release window schedule. We want to be careful just in case. So I'll say probably true, but still wait for confirmation. I first want to give a little bit of a recap on what we know so far for 2026, and then I have to go over some of the new information. So keep in mind, for the longest time, we already knew everything up until February for quite a bit some now. With the January release supposed to be a CX booster, which is supposed to be a Phoenix Flare booster, which is supposed to be a defense type release. Following that, in February, we have a basic line random booster. Now, keep in mind that this is actually just a full-on random booster. This is not a random select, which is actually deviating quite a bit from the past years when we saw Shelter Drake as a random select and Sphinx as a random select, and I'll kind of get into more why I think they're... Honestly, I think just avoiding doing random selects for the long-term future. March, for some reason, they haven't posted on that, which I'm very suspicious on, but on April, we are supposed to have a UX19 starter, and then after a CX17 random booster. Is the numbering on that right? So if you couldn't already tell by the numbering between January to March to April and onwards, you'll notice there's a big discrepancy in the number difference there. And I realized, like, oh yeah, that probably just adds up if you just do like 3 CX releases and then like a stadium set, because if you've noticed, every time once we get to March, they will do 3 releases and then after some type of stadium set, meaning a big focus on the custom line going forward and them not doing a new line. Now, if we look at every single year for Beyblade X, right, as we've gone on through 2024, 2025, it's always been the big month for the new line release. 2024, we had the unique line debut. 2025, we had the custom line debut. Could we potentially be getting a new line? Now, I'm under the impression that we probably won't, and it's for the reason that I don't feel they can justify doing another line, not unless the customization is crazy, to go forward with Beyblade X. Because right now what they've been doing is that if you look at the previous generation, like Beyblade Burst, you'll notice that every single year onwards ongoing, it's basically a full reset. You have to buy the new stuff because of power creep. So Chozetsu to GT to Sparking to Dynamite Battle, etc. But now they have multiple lines occurring at the same time. A basic line, a unique line, and a custom line. And what makes this a very unique situation compared to the previous generation is that there's not really power creep in the sense of, oh, once we got this new line has to be stronger than all of the previous line. If they do a good design, good weight distribution, etc., you know, these factors that contribute to actually making a good release, then it will perform well. I mean, you can look at the custom line, which was a very poorly designed system that only now, after they kind of put like a little bit more weight to it, that some of the ones that were at least the best are at least a little bit more usable, and some of the stuff that really wasn't that good probably not going to get used. But more the reason why I'm saying this is that I don't know how you can actually justify doing a new line right now. Now, don't get me wrong, there is potential if they would want to do that. Like in Beyblade Burst, for an example, you had the GT system that played with layer weights. Following that, you had the Sparking system, which played not only with the chip customization taken from GT, but instead now they focus on a chassis system, which was kind of like this fused metal disc with a giant plastic part. And then after, in Dynamite Battle, they went back to the idea of the weight distribution on a high or a low mode. Now for Beyblade X, listen, they've done one type of customization, which is on the lower part of the blade, even though I don't think that was done that successfully. I think they should have tried to do something maybe like the Sparking system with chassis, but, you know, they could easily just do, again, metal fight customization line with actual clear wheels. Yes, they don't actually do something in the grand scheme of things, it's just cosmetically, but that could be something that could work. But the issue is just redundancy, because if we have so many lines occurring at once, I think the best move that they can do, and it's probably what they are actually doing, is just move forward with these 3 lines and do the best improvements you can, and eventually when you're going to do a new line, which they could be saving that, let's say maybe for the end of 2026 or onwards, you can move forward with that, because they are doing things differently, and I don't think we need the next new thing, the next new thing, the next new thing like that. If it can be sustainable, then I think they can work it out perfectly fine. Now, the other thing I want to mention is the fact that there are almost no random selects. I think that this is probably the better move. Now, for the most part, for random selects, basically how this worked is that you would get the prize blade, and then after there's the main anime stock combo with the new parts, and the other ones are just random filler stuff. Now, for the most part, I don't think anyone really gave a fuck about most of these random selects. Like, people just want the prize blade. Now, some of them maybe had some decent parts, but for the most part, they've been kind of mediocre, I would say. It got to the point where once we got to Clock Mirage, they just said like, okay, here's the 3 same combos. And at that point, just release a booster? No, I thought random selects were only done just for the predatory nature of a random booster. Oh, you have to buy a full set. Now, if you want just a simple booster that they could just release, go ahead and do it. Because it kind of saves the headache of doing things like a shelter, like, I don't know. Maybe if the random selects actually had top performing blades for the most part, maybe then most of them wouldn't feel so poor, because otherwise you don't really have a reason to invest into them. But what I do think this is going to give us an opportunity with February and April is we're probably going to get a lot more reprints that I'm really hoping to actually see. Where I would probably say like stuff like an Impact Drake, a Samurai Saber, Crimson Garuda, a Shark Scale, you know, top desirable blades. I think these things could get more reprints, and I do think for the long term, I prefer a random booster, because that's more opportunities, more parts, than a random select that is basically half of that. But yeah, I mean, this kind of makes sense with all the stuff we've been getting. All the lines kind of are just coexisting at this point, and I'm okay with that. I don't think we need to, and I think this was already kind of set in the precedent if you think about it at the start of this season. Like, notice how the Persona Bays just got an upgrade for the custom line stuff, and it's not like they got another new set of 3 Persona Bays. I also think this could probably work out, since potentially in the future, maybe we could just see more releases to set up more characters or more unique motifs, you know? I'm okay with some of the things returning, but you know, I like to see a little bit of variety and stuff, like even in Beyblade Burst. Yes, they would always get most of the staple motifs, but we still get, I would say, a decent balance, mostly, except around the end, where the end at that point, they were just kind of just going, hey, we'll just do another year of this. But we got still unique content. But where I want to leave off with this video is kind of ask you the question, what do you think of the lineup? What are your predictions for the lineup? Do you actually think we're going to get another line in Beyblade X, at least for 2026, or at least, I'll say the first half of 2026? I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it's okay, because don't forget too, like, Metal Fights, they did like the original system, the hybrid wheel system, and then after they did the hybrid wheel system, I think it's okay if they can just make it work and make things interesting. Like, don't forget, there are still so many gimmicks and designs and stuff that Beyblade X did not explore. Like, part of the cool thing with Beyblade Burst being so ongoing is that every once in a while, they did some fun, cool gimmick. Even if it wasn't competitive, which, you know, it can be, that's fine. It was still interesting. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and that's gonna pretty much be it for now. So I want to say thank you for watching. Take care and bye.